You're watching WAAY 31 Law Call, where lawyers come to help. Your rights, your calls, live. Hosted by family law attorney Sharon Doviet. With the personal injury attorneys of one of the Valley's most respected law firms, Timberlake and League. Featuring the knowledge of managing partner Michael Timberlake, with millions of dollars awarded to his clients. And the experience of attorney Will League, a strong courtroom fighter known for his commitment to winning. And the fellow partners of Timberlake and League, Heath Brooks and William Meservey. This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Good evening. Welcome to WAAY 31 Law Call. I'm Robert Lane in for Sharon Doviet. We are talking personal injury tonight. You know, that's car wrecks, slip and falls, big rig accidents. You have any questions about that or insurance, you give us a call. And tonight, let's see here. We're also, so what? If you have a claim, what if the insurance company decides to write you a check? What should you do? Well, should you talk to an attorney? You can sure talk to one tonight. We have them here in the studio. Give us a call at 256-536-0077. Personal injury attorney Michael Timberlake is here. Hey, Michael.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Thanks
for filling in. It's always lovely to do it with you.
Well, you're very kind. This is one of the smartest attorneys I have ever met.
Well, you're one of the best announcers I've ever met.
Not true. But before we get started, I have a video I want you to comment on.
All right.
Okay? This is all about you. All right, tonight's clip is courtesy of YouTube, and it deals with a fall that you won't believe. It's always a good idea to watch where you're going, right? Okay,
most
well,
of the time.
we're going to see here. On the other hand, maybe there can be a big hole in the pathway. So here's what I want to know. If I don't get hurt, does it matter if I fall down a hole?
If it can hurt your pride, you may not have a legal claim.
Well, let's take a look here and see what happens. Okay. So he's putting stuff in. There's a big hole in the floor.
Yeah.
Keep your eye on the guy in the back.
Oh, I think I see it. Oh, what's he got in his hand? Oh.
But here. So is he hurt? Is he not hurt?
He looks pretty good to me.
Okay, so he comes to you. What do you tell him?
Well, you know, one, from a legal perspective, it looks like he's got a phone in his hand. So that's one of those things that's going to be a problem. You know, you just can't just walk through a premises and claim that somebody else has left something open and obvious and you're not looking for it. So the kind of defenses that we deal with in this situation are provided to premises owners. And simply because you're injured on somebody else's property doesn't make them automatically liable. The defenses are, if they can prove that the hazard that was there was open and obvious so that somebody would have seen it when exercising reasonable care, then the premises owner has an absolute defense and you can't recover. In this situation, I think the hole was open and obvious. He was looking at his phone and he couldn't see it. The other thing we have to deal with in Alabama is what we call contributory negligence, which means that if you do something unreasonable and it causes your own injury, that is also a bar on recovery. In this situation, I think looking at the phone, not looking where you're going, is probably going to bar the recovery in this situation. But fortunately, it didn't appear he was injured, so no harm, no foul.
Now, you brought a very special guest with us. You want to introduce him?
Absolutely. I brought Heath Brooks from our firm. He's the one that taught me all about open and obvious hazards and how they can present a defense in premises liability cases. And he does a lot of that with us, and we're glad to have him here tonight.
Good to be here.
Well, now, Heath, you've got licenses in what? Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia.
That's correct.
Why?
Well, because there are people in Tennessee and Georgia. We are our neighbors over to our east and our neighbors up to the north are in pretty close proximity. And I have a bunch of clients in Tennessee. I have a bunch of clients in Georgia. The laws are markedly different in Tennessee and Georgia, so you got to be aware of the laws and how they're different than your own state, so you can provide effective representation. But also, I'm from Georgia, and so I know a lot of third cousins that come out of the woodwork when they get a DUI or something. So, I handle a bunch of stuff over that way.
It's good for business to have relatives.
It is.
So give us a call at 256-536-0077. Listen, guys, I want to know, why am I seeing so many ads for truck accidents?
Well, I mean, you see so many ads for personal injury lawyers across the board because, they're lawyers are trying to get business, and they're trying to get business for whatever reason. Big injury cases or significant injury cases typically result from trucking accidents, and those are the kind of things that have, typically a lot of dollars attached to it. So people are advertising, they're going to go for the cream of the crop. They're going to say, we handle this is what we do. Well, in reality, most any personal injury lawyer is going to be well versed in these types of cases. You need to do your homework. You need to talk to the lawyer that you're going to meet with. And, Heath, one of those things is we always talk to our clients. We meet with them in person, but that's not the case with everybody.
No, it's not. And that's one thing is that's when you're choosing your lawyer. Your lawyer can be a personal relationship, and you're in the worst time of your life sometimes. And when you hire a lawyer, you got to be able to trust the lawyer and know the lawyer, because you may be in a relationship for a year, 2 years, sometimes more, and you've got to be able to understand what your lawyer is doing and to be able to understand that, hey, look, I can trust this person, that they're going to have my best interest. And that requires, in my opinion, sitting down across the table from someone so that you know them. I always say, when you are looking for a lawyer, make sure you talk to a few. Make sure you're comfortable with who is providing you representation, because when it comes down to it, trust is the key word there.
Well, we have callers holding. Karen, you've been very kind to hold on. Karen from Huntsville has a question. Karen, what's on your mind tonight?
Yes, sir. My question is, I have a vehicle that I noticed when vacuuming that the side of it had some white scratches, and it looked as if somebody took something and tried to clean it off, so it was smeared, and I panicked. I drove it through the car wash, and it didn't come off. I've been my insurance company for over 10 years, and when I called them to make a claim, they was really all into it and everything, asked me to send pictures. In the meantime, a collision shop I had already called told me that they could file it as well. The insurance company wants to say it's a collision when I thought maybe a car door did it, and they want me to use my my one coverage versus a comprehensive. And when the guy saw it, he was like, no, a car didn't do this. I don't know what did. And now it's been over 2 or 3 weeks for me to get anything back. And you know what they've done? They sent me a check for $200 and some.
Oh, gosh.
Did you cash the check?
No, sir.
Okay.
They said it's in the mail, and I'm not cashing it because the guy said, well, I sent them a claim for over $1,300.
Right. So, in this situation, what you've got, it's what we call a first-party claim. So you're making a claim against your insurance company for coverage that you have purchased on your vehicle. Now, car insurance, and people call it full coverage or comprehensive or whatever, it really is different types of coverage, and you can purchase different, types of coverage. You can have liability only, which means they only pay if you hurt someone else. But then you can have liability coverage. You can have underinsured motorist coverage, which is important. You can have collision coverage, which is important. Rental car insurance is important. So what you're talking about is making a claim on your own insurance, and they call it collision coverage, but really what it is a no-fault claim for property damage to your vehicle. So if you were to wreck your car, if a tree were to fall on your car, if your neighbor were to run into it, if the neighborhood kids were to beat it with a baseball bat, or it caused some damage that was your fault or somebody else's fault, your insurance company will pay for it. You'll have to pay the deductible, which is typically $250 or $500, and then they'll repair the damage to the car. Now, the value of the damage to the car can often, come into question, right, Heath?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, one of the things is that some insurance companies, they use their own evaluators, so they'll send an adjuster. An adjuster is just a title for someone who adjusts the value of a claim, like your property damage claim. And they'll send an adjuster out to the scene, or maybe they'll just even look at pictures from your cell phone that you submit online, and they'll draw a value of what that damage is based upon the insurance company's evaluation. You may take it to another body shop, and the body shop says, no, this is going to take $1,300, and now you have a disconnect between what your insurance company believes the property damage value is and what another body shop believes. the property damage value is. You can have a dispute with your insurance company. My suggestion to you is get a couple of different estimates. Sometimes if you have more than one estimate from more than one body shop or a body shop that the insurance company uses, you can sometimes get the value up of your claim. So that's one thing you could do, but I can tell you that in these property damage claims, sometimes when the insurance company does their own evaluation, they dig your heels in, and you need to have some more information to submit to them so that you can change their minds.
Yeah. Well, you fight with them all the time.
Yeah, and we do. And in a first-party claim like this, when you're making a claim against your own insurance company, they have an obligation of good faith and fair dealing. So they have the law says that, look, they've got to do it in a reasonable manner and not deny your claim or delay your claim for no purpose. For if there's no arguable, debatable reason for denying the claim or delaying the claim, then you can make a claim for what we call bad faith, and that can put an insurance company in a real bad spot.
Well, let's head over to the western part of the valley. Let's go to Sheffield. I think it's William on the line. Are you there?
Lily.
Oh, Linda, I'm sorry. One more time. Linda, what's on your mind?
Yeah. Well, I was wondering, who can I sue, or who can I talk to about paying for a hospital bill and vet bill if I was attacked by a pit bull in my yard and it killed my animal? And the animal control was called, the police department was called. The pit bull is to remain in the home for 10 days if there's paperwork showing that the pit bull has their rabies vaccination, but the rabies vaccination wasn't proved. And this all happened Friday, so I just need to know what's my next step. What's the next step I should take on that?
Linda, were you injured, or was it your dog? Okay, so both you and your dog were injured?
The dog was killed.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, so you got a couple of different claims here. One is to your person. When a pit bull is considered under Alabama law to be a dangerous breed. It's the only breed under Alabama law that is considered to be dangerous. Normally, a dog would be considered to be dangerous. They call it the first strike rule, and you're out. If a dog attacks one time, then it's a get out of jail free card. But the second time, then you can be responsible for that injury, your dog's injury. A pit bull is not that case. A pit bull is considered a dangerous breed, and because it was in your yard when it attacked you, then you do have a claim against the person who owned the dog. Typically, you would make that claim against the homeowner's insurance of the owner of the dog. And so that's one thing that you may want to address with the person who is the owner, is to ask about their homeowner's insurance information, or at least get their address and their contact so that if you need to talk to a lawyer, then we can find out that information. In terms of your dog, Alabama, when it comes to animals, they consider animals under the law to be property. And so unless you have veterinary bills, then you're not going to be able to get any money, unfortunately, for the fact that your dog lost its life. If you do have veterinary bills, then you can make that claim against the homeowner as well.
Yeah, and a lot of times it depends on where you live. If you live in the city of Huntsville, there is an ordinance that directly deals with dangerous animals, and there's a process that we go through. If an animal attacks another animal, or animal attacks a person, then there's steps that an owner can do to save the dog so that the dog's not euthanized, but that can be very costly for the owner of the dog. In the county, it's a lot different. There's very, very little rules or regulations that impact dangerous dogs in a county setting.
There is a statewide law that requires you to maintain your animal, but it allows for very, very limited damages. And it is a county-specific sort of thing. There is a state law, but it doesn't have a lot of teeth.
Yeah, there's a mailman rule, basically, so that if you're on your property where you should be and a dog attacks you, you can automatically get your medical expenses.
Exactly.
But you have to have insurance or something to be able to cover that.
Fascinating. Listen, if you have a question about being injured, give us a call at 256-536-0077. We will be back with more of your calls right after this.
This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Our topic tonight is all about injuries, but first we want to take a look for a moment and remember a friend, good friend of the show, and a friend of lawyers and a lot of clients across North Alabama.
Yeah, Taz Shepard died this week, and he was a good friend to a lot of people, and he was a good friend to many lawyers across the state and in Madison County. He was also heavily involved in programs that provide pro bono legal services for people. Legal Services of Alabama was a big project of his, or he helped with that project, and then the Madison County Volunteer Lawyer Program. He was deeply involved in that as well. He served as the Alabama State Bar President in the last year of his life and did a fantastic job, even though he was fighting an illness. And our condolences go out to his friends, his family, and all the lawyers and people that he helped.
Yeah, especially his widow, Pam. And Taz, like I said, especially in the early days of this program, very supportive, came on many, many times. Heath Brooks is here. We're talking all about injuries tonight. And we have a caller. It is Shirley from Hazel Green.
Hello?
Yes, how are you? What's on your mind?
My cousin and his wife were driving on the interstate, and it was real dark, and they thought the trailer truck in front of them was going forward, and the truck was trying to pull off the road, and when they swerved to miss him, they ran into the back of the trailer truck, and they both are injured and have a lot of medical bills. Do they have any rights to sue that company for the truck? Are they just out of luck, or do they need to talk to somebody, or what do they need to do?
Yeah, I mean, in that situation, I would encourage you to talk to somebody immediately or as soon as possible. Obviously, if it's a common carrier or a motor carrier, it's a corporation. They have investigators. They have people that go to the scenes of these types of collisions all the time to gather information. So you need somebody on your side to gather information. Now, also motor carriers have a lot of responsibilities in terms of, placards and visualization and lighting that they're required to use, and as well as, signals, just, like turn signals that are supposed to be in place if they're making this type of maneuver. So you really want to try to figure out what the facts were and make sure it's as specific as possible. Heath, the evidence has got to be gathered as quickly as possible, right?
It's like water; it evaporates. If you don't gather the evidence, it will go away. A lot of times, these trucks will have recording devices on them, GPS devices on them that the trucking company is required to maintain under federal law. There's a lot of federal law that governs trucking companies, so it's important to understand what those laws are so that you can understand what the responsibilities of the trucking company are in terms of training their drivers and what drivers should do in the kind of situation that involved your family. And that's what was there a police report? Did the police come to the scene? What kind of investigation did the police do? Were photos taken by the police? Were photos taken by the trucking company? These are all questions that we need to have answered and need to move forward fairly quickly because, as Michael said, they're going to have their investigators out there. They're going to have their evidence to present their case in the light most favorable to them. And so your folks needs an advocate on their side as well.
Well, if you have questions, you can give us a call, 256-536-0077, or you can email us. People do it all the time. Your questions or comments, go to LawCall at waaytv.com, and we'll see you in just a minute. We're talking about injuries tonight. Some of the upcoming shows will be fighting the insurance company, mediation, and then injuries at work. But Joe has been holding from Jackson County, so let's see if we can get her in here.
Hey, Joe.
Yes, hello.
Hello. What's on your mind?
Well, me and my husband had a wreck, and this herd of cows, the company, the people down below us, they've been getting out several, just all the time. And we was coming through, it was done dark, and it killed when we hit it, it broke my pelvis, fractured it.
Oh, gosh.
And then the owner, the fire department called the owner, and he said to put the cow down. So when we put it down, well, they carried me to the hospital, and then my insurance covered everything, but the guy said that he wasn't responsible. It wasn't his cow, so there I'm left with a $5,000 hospital bill.
Oh, gosh. Well, one is in the situation, the first thing you got to do is you figure out who the owner of the livestock is, and then you can kind of decide from there what you can do. Alabama does have a livestock law that is very much in favor of farmers or owners of livestock. And basically what it says is that simply if the owner was just negligent, if they had a bad fence that they should have repaired or something like that, they're not liable or responsible for an injury that their livestock causes, even if it's on the roadway, if they're just negligent. You have to prove that the owner had actual knowledge that the livestock was out of the gate and presenting a hazard in order to be able to try to make a recovery against the livestock owner. So that can be kind of tough to prove, especially if he says it's not my cow. So you got kind of two hurdles you're dealing with there, and it can be a difficult situation. But you want to do what you can to find out who the owner of the cow was and where it came from.
We've handled a number of those in situations where we do find out that there was enough information that the owners of the cattle or the horse, as it were, did know that those animals were out or habitually out. Sometimes you can get over the law, but it's been around, since the 1800s, and it's a tough law to get over.
Yep. Let me tell you how to get a hold of these guys if you didn't get your question answered tonight. Michael Timberlake and Heath Brooks are from Timberlake and League. Here in Huntsville, it's 256-536-0770 at law-injury.com.
All right, and Sharon W. is off tonight because she is in Portugal, but she will be back very soon. She practices family law in Huntsville, 256-539-7337 or SharonFamilyLaw.com.
The guys also appear Mondays at WAAY 31 Midday News. Tell me a little about that. What's that about?
We spend about 10 minutes on the air on midday, and we take any question on any topic, and it's a challenge for us at times.
Well, very good. Well, listen, thank you very much for joining us. We hope to see you back next week, and if you have any questions about Georgia or Tennessee, Heath is your guy. We'll see you next week.
Good night.